Let's talk about discrimination. No, I'm not talking about judging people based on their ethnicity, their religion, or any other life choices. I'm talking about seeing things clearly so you can step into that beautiful space of freedom and abundance. That's what we're going to take a look at today. Coming up. Welcome to the Power of Quiet, helping you drop your concepts of limitation so you can get your goals and be the best you can be. And if you're new here, hit subscribe, because this is a place where you get to prove to yourself just how powerful you really are. Now, on to our topic this week, discrimination. When I say to you that word, discrimination, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? Probably the idea of judging or excluding others based on their race, their religion, their sexual orientation, or other attributes or preferences in life. But that's not what we're talking about here. And that's only one use of that word. The other use of it is something completely different. And it's something that is beautiful and powerful. And I want to cover this today because I think because of the main use of the word that we hear so often in the world around us and the media, that we tend to back away from using this word and even looking at it. But discrimination is something that is super powerful and it's important for your growth. Now, here's the other definition of discrimination. To see things clearly, to distinguish accurately. Now let me say that again. To see things clearly, to distinguish accurately. And here's why it's so important. When you're not discriminating, you're running on automatic, which means you're being run by your emotions and your stories from the past, which I guarantee always leads you astray. Now let me give you a classic example of how discrimination works. And to do that, I want to go over 3 aspects of the mind. The first aspect is the sensing aspect, which means we sense things through our 5 senses. It's hot, it's cold. This is an aspect of the mind that we have as humans, and it's also something that animals have. Now, the second aspect of the mind is the recording and playback aspect. That's that little voice that's in your head. And if you really pay attention to that voice in your head, you notice everything that it tells you. It's just all stuff from the past. And that's all the mind does, is it just goes around all day long, recording everything. And then it plays it back to you, whether you want to listen to it or not. And that's something that we as humans have, as well as animals. So if you take a baby elephant and you tie its leg with a rope to a stake in the ground where it can't move, it records into its mind, as long as that rope is around my leg, it can't move. So even years later, when it grows up and it weighs many tons, and it has that rope around its leg, it won't even try to move. And they don't even have to tie the other end of that rope to a stake or anything. It's just loose. But that animal, that elephant, won't bother to budge because of that recording that's playing in its head. And see, that is a lack of discrimination, which brings us to the third aspect of the mind, the ability to discriminate. And that's something that us humans have that animals don't have. The animals don't have the self-awareness that we do. But unfortunately, as humans, we often revert back to this automatic state. So let me give you an example of what I mean by discrimination. Say you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off. And so right away, you probably have an automatic response. Like you start heating up. You start getting enraged, and then before you know it, you're chasing this person down the road. And then you pull up to the next light, right up next to them. And you look over, you're about to give them a piece of your mind. But then you notice, oh wait, they weigh about 280 pounds and they're built like a linebacker. Maybe I shouldn't mess with that person. You see, then the discrimination starts kicking in, whereas before you're just on automatic. Your emotions running you. But then you stop and go, oh, wait a minute, that's not a good idea. So that's something that we have as humans, which is a powerful tool that will help us evolve into a higher consciousness. And that's how I want to talk about it here today, because discrimination is a tool that you can use to take yourself off of your automatic negative tendencies. For example, do you ever beat yourself up? It happens automatically, right? Just at the drop of a hat. When something doesn't go your way, boom, beat myself up. You make a mistake, boom, beat myself up. You miss an appointment, boom, beat myself up. You sleep in when you needed to get up, boom, beat myself up. Drive myself crazy, worrying about it, right? Now, that happens automatically. Yet, when you stop and you start to discriminate by asking yourself a simple discriminating question, how does it help me to beat myself up? See, right there, when you ask yourself that question, it takes you off of automatic. You're no longer being run by your mind or your emotions. You stop and you start seeing things clearly. Wait a minute. It doesn't help me at all to beat myself up. And here's another discriminating question. If you're beating yourself up, who's doing that? Well, gee, I'm doing it. Which can lead to another discriminating question. Well, if I'm doing it and it doesn't help me, how about I make a decision now and stop beating myself up? And see, this puts you in the now, where you can make a smart decision now, an enlightened decision, to let go of the negativity and discover something great about yourself. And again, this is why I really want to bring home this topic of discrimination. Because here's the thing, we all have negativity that we're aware of, that we're sitting on. These could be automatic habits, stuff like procrastination, habits that don't help us. We can also see that we have feelings that we're sitting on, like fear, worry, anger, frustration. And we're aware of this stuff that's inside of us. But oftentimes, we put off letting that go. Or we go around just trying to manage it and not bothering to really dig out this negativity. Whereas, the more we discriminate and we look at ourselves and see, oh, I'm sitting on this negativity. This negativity is doing me no good. One, it doesn't feel good. It's creating a sense of dissatisfaction on and on and on in my life. And two, this negativity is manifesting into problems I'm creating in my world. Now, the more we look at that and say, well, look at that. If I'm sitting on it and I have a tool to let that go, why not let it go? Like right now. You see, that is discriminating. Yet we find it so easy for ourselves to just stay on automatic. But we got to break that habit of being on automatic and get ourselves more in the moment and do the things that will enlighten us and get us to the place where we really want to be, where we can demonstrate our goals, have the abundance, have the constant happiness in our lives. Each and every one of us can do this. So let me just show you right now. Is there anything that you don't like about yourself? Anything at all? Anything that you're disapproving about yourself? Maybe from past decisions or your situation in life right now, or just things that you don't like about yourself. You got something in mind? Now take a look. By beating yourself up, does that change anything? Does that make that situation go away? And does it feel good to go around beating yourself up? No, it doesn't, right? And it doesn't resolve anything, beating yourself up. Now, who's doing it? You're doing it, right? After all, it's your mind. You're the owner here. You're the one who's listening to it, going along with that automatic program. There's no one doing that but you. So if you're doing it, and it's not getting you the results that you'd really would like to have in life, now it's up to you to make a decision. I'm going to be positive and love myself, or I'm going to be negative and beat myself up. What do you decide? Now, I'm assuming you're making a discriminating choice here. You're deciding to be positive, right? So, with that in mind, with that decision in place, could you let go of disapproving of yourself? Even if it's just a little bit. Could you let go of a little bit of that disapproval? You're doing it. And could you let go of disapproving of yourself a little bit more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself a little bit more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And even more. Just let it go. It's a decision, yes or no, that's all. Again, how does it help you to disapprove of yourself? And who's doing it? And if you're doing it, you're in the driver's seat now. All you have to do is just decide, enough's enough. I'm letting that go. I'm stopping that habit. Could you let go of disapproving of yourself a little bit more? And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And even more. And even more. Now notice how you feel. Notice if you feel a little bit lighter, more clear. And that's showing you that you're moving in the right direction here. Now take a look to see if you've been disapproving of yourself for not achieving a goal that you've really wanted to have in your life. And again, is beating yourself up going to get you that goal? Of course not. And who's sitting here beating yourself up? You are. And if you're doing it, and it's not getting you the results you want, make a decision. I'm going to be positive and love myself, or I'm going to be negative and beat myself up. What do you decide? Now, could you let go of disapproving of yourself? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And even more. 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 And could you let go disapproving of yourself even more? Notice how you feel. Do you feel even lighter, stronger, more empowered now, more confident, more clear? Just notice. That's all. Just notice what you're experiencing if you feel a shift. And again, that experience is showing you now you're moving in the right direction. And we can even take this a step further. You see, if beating yourself up doesn't help you, maybe loving yourself will help you. And after all, how does it hurt you anyway to love yourself? Right? Nothing wrong with that. So, could you now give yourself some love and approval? For no reason, just because. And again, the answer is just simply yes or no. And could you give yourself some more approval? And could you give yourself some more approval? And could you give yourself even more approval? And even more. And even more. And even more. And even more. And could you just love yourself? Again, does positive hurt anything? That's a discriminating question, isn't it? Of course not. So could you just love yourself? And more. And even more. And notice how you feel now. See if you feel just more energized, more confident, more alive, and more present in the now. So this is why it's so important to practice discrimination. It's something you got to practice. Be aware of. Pay attention to. You see, the more you practice discrimination, the easier it is to eradicate these automatic habits and behaviors and drop the negativity so you can permanently step into a new level of freedom, awareness, and peace of mind. And the more you practice discrimination, the more when you spot the negativity, you drop it immediately. You don't save it for later. And you find it easier and easier and easier to drop the negativity the more you discriminate. Until you get to the point where you're just discriminating so acutely that the moment you spot negativity or a limitation in your mind, you drop it in an instant. That's it. Done. You see it? Gone. And that leaves you so much more limitless. So discrimination is key. In fact, we can look at discrimination as our whole evolution here. You see, Lester, as well as many other masters, have pointed out that going free is just an apparency. We cannot grow into freedom because we're already free. Many masters have said this, and that applies to letting go. So what we practice here, what we call letting go, is really an apparency. The more we let go, what we're really doing is we're just discriminating more and more, seeing who we really are, who we always have been. And by discriminating, we're taking ourselves out of the past, out of the future, and into the now. And simply being present in the now. That is the state of ultimate discrimination. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about doing a separate video each week that's short and sweet, it's just right to the point. And each week, bringing up a new discriminating question for us to look at and even discuss. So together we can grow in our understanding of ourselves and the world. And we can use this for bigger and better results so we can get our goals much more easily. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know in the comments below if you think that this is a good idea. And if you have any other ideas that would help you in your growth, let me know below. And we'll take a look and maybe we'll add this as a new series each week, the Discrimination series. All right, so just let me know. And thank you so much. Remember to hit like if this topic is helpful to you. And hit subscribe if you're new here. All right, well, I'll see you later. Take care.